Welcome back to Vice Grip Garage. You're not going to want to miss this one, so stick around to the end because we're going to be taking my 1974 Monte Carlo Landau and turning it from the stock car here into an actual stock car. What I mean by that is NASCAR Tribute, 70s style. Buddy Chad's here from South Carolina?
North Carolina.
North Carolina. I always mess that up. You've probably seen him if you've been to some of the events. He and his wife help us tremendously with setup and stuff like that. And we started talking about Sick Week this year, which is in February. And they wanted to come with, and I was like, well, wait a minute. Miles will take another rig. And then I got to thinking, I don't really have any other exciting rigs. But then it came right around to me. I've always wanted to build a 70s NASCAR tribute car ever since I was just knee-high to a grasshopper. And we've got the perfect car sitting here, and I've been pondering on what to do with this thing, and I think we're going to make it happen. If you've watched the previous episodes, you know that it's got a 400 Chevy in it right now with a YN142 supercharger. The transmission seems to be shifting fine, but we've got a lot of work to do. Now, when I say tribute, that's not a replica, so it's not going to be precise, so we're not going to be, cutting the webbing out of the doors and the fenders and taking the fender wells out and fuel cell and going crazy. A tribute to me, in my opinion, is we're going to make it drivable. We can still run it on the street, so we're going to keep all the lights and everything like that, all of the glass, so a guy can still get in and scoot it to town. It's going to be street legal, but we're going to do seats and cages and belts and gauges and tires and wheels all the way down to a full wrap tire car. And we've got some pretty cool stuff we're going to be putting on that thing. So we have a tremendous amount of work to do. And I think, should we start by making a list or something?
Yeah.
Chad's here for a couple days now, and then you're coming back in a couple weeks. And then we've got like 2 or 3 more days then. We got to get this whole car buttoned up. And kind of behind the scenes, I'm also getting the independent Chevelle running, or not running, but ready for our race week kind of event, a drag and drive. So it's going to be pretty tight. So on this one, what we're going to focus on today is we got to take care of the heating issue. Right now, it runs really good, but it does get warm, like sitting in traffic, stuff like that. So we're going to do a new rad and dual fans, and also some hoses. Miles will replace those now instead of doing it, on the side of the road when it's 250 degrees. And then Chad's gonna start sanding the whole car, because for this wrap, we've got to have a smooth base to put the wrap on. So he's gonna be taking off all of the trim, accessorize and stuff like that, and then sanding all of this down, and we're gonna have to primer this. So we're gonna do like a black or a gray primer or something like that. And then we have some body work to do on the quarters as well. And then we need to lock the rear end. We'll put like a mini spool or something. We have to do a roll bar, which would be like a 4-point. We gotta do seats, belts, tires, wheels, and we'll go like, full NASCAR and that stuff. Probably like 255s or something like that. Now we need to get slicks for this, figure out that size. Did you want to do a shifter or keep it calling?
I don't care either way.
I'll just put question mark. Kind of thinking maybe like a ratchet shifter or something. But, we got a strip interior. That comes before all this stuff. What else? That can't be it, is it? Oh, alternator. That's not even close to lined up. It's like tilted back and way out of alignment. I actually have a bracket kit coming, should show up today for that.
Tack.
Oh, yeah. We also don't know who's pulling the trailer and who's going to be stuffing stuff in the car. You have a lot of room here. You might be able to just put it in the body carrier and some back here, which means the Chevelle might be pulling the trailer, which would be interesting. I think that'll get us started. We'll just have to add as we go. I'll keep this here. So I'm gonna pop the hood, get on the radiator. We'll get him set up with the DA, and he's gonna just be really happy here the next hour or two. No, it's gonna be bad. So all this trim on the doors has to come off, the badges, this bottom chrome. We're gonna take this off as well. Gotta clean this up from the old soft top, from the Land D edition. This stuff here, you know, we just gotta slide that out. And then what we're gonna have to do is come back and grind those smooth right there. And then that wrap will lay right over that. Got a little bit of rust over here to address, but the worst side is over here. This is more bad or worser. I'm waiting on a patch panel to show up, but we'll fix this rust here. And that's really the worst of the whole car. The rockers are solid, everything like that. Boy, that's gonna be a lot of grinding. Get those kind of semi-smooth. We're gonna keep the bumpers on it. Stock cars in the 70s still had bumpers and whatnot. We're just gonna take that rubber stuff off. Front plate comes off. We don't need that anymore, and that's the wrong one anyway. While he's doing all that stuff, I'm gonna take out the old radiator here. We already recycled on that outside. And we're gonna put in a cold case, aluminum with 2 digital fans, and then swap out the relay kit over here for a dual relay kit. And that'll keep this thing nice and cool. We'll probably throw a chip in the MSD box at like 6,000 or 5,000 or 30,000. I don't know yet. Might have a valve cover gasket we have to address. Other than that, I think this is gonna be just fine to have fun.
Now, Sick Week, if you haven't heard of it, it's a brand new event. So a lot of you might not have. It's a drag and drive event. So it's just like Rocky Mountain Race Week or Hot Rod Drag Week. You have to drive the vehicle to a drag strip, run your pass, pack up, and drive it to the next event 5 days in a row, basically. It's really grueling on the car. It's the ultimate test of man and machine, basically. And although obviously this is not a drag car, I just thought it would be cool to debut this car at a drag racing event. Clearly, we're going to use this car for a lot of other stuff. It's going to be on cruises and cross-country trips and car shows and maybe even an actual track. I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. But I like having fun like this, showing up to a drag strip in a stock car. Might turn a couple heads. Should be a lot of fun. So the wrap, the way things are timing out here, is going to be the last thing that goes on before we head down to Florida in the car. And the reason I went with the wrap, we thought about painting it and stuff like that, but there's so many decals and graphics and names and stuff like that. It would be a huge project. So I've never done a wrap on a car before, ever in my life. And this just seems like a good vehicle to do that because they could print it off in one sheet. Anything that the old brain comes up with and just smack it on. I think the body work is going to be quite a big project, and then putting the cage in and stuff in this car, that's also going to be unique. Got a not so good surprise on this side. Chad popped that off, and yep, all that dirt and mud gets up in there and rots it, and it hit it. I mean, it felt solid, of course, because it had that big piece on it, but hopefully it's not going to be all the way across. I'm hoping it's not, because most of the stuff gets kicked in there from the tire, but we'll find out. Did you do the other side yet, or?
No, I started there and I'm working my way back.
It's probably going to be the same on the other side, unfortunately. So I just got done ordering the patches for the rears. I'm going to have to find some patches for the front. Thankfully, the bodywork doesn't have to be perfect. I mean, I could just zip in a patch panel and stitch weld it, a little bit of mud, because we're not putting, you know, gloss paint over it. And it's also on the bottom, so we don't have to get it perfect. Plus, we don't really have the time. I mean, we're
Technically, we have like 6 days to try to throw this together somehow, so it's gonna have to be quick. I'm moving along pretty good. Finally got the cooler lines off. That's always a bugger. A tip on these is squeeze them with a vice grip and then back the nut off so you don't twist the actual line and break it off. I also took off, must have been an old bracket for the smog on this. I got that out of the way in case we need to replace the fuel pump on the road. Took the charging whirler off because that was all wrong. And I got a different bracket coming in that should resolve that as well. But basically we're gonna retain all this extra room now because that new rad's gonna have the fans maybe out to here. So it's gonna be a lot easier to work on too, which would be nice. So under the rad here, I actually found a mouse house. It was all soggy, and you can see, unfortunately, is rusting that away. So the reason it looks wet is I hit it with some rust treatment stopper later stuff, and then I'm gonna come in and just, rebuild all of this nozzle. We're in here, right? And then I took the ice cube juice pump refrigerator screen out, and that'll give us some more wind into the new rad as well. None of that's hooked up. I'm not gonna tear any of this stuff out. Again, we're gonna try to keep the car structurally the same. We're actually making improvements by cleaning up the rust and stuff. And it's just gonna be a wrap. So if we ever wanna put the car back, we can. So moving along pretty good. Just gotta let this dry, get the new rad in. Chad's working his way around the whole bottom. That door actually looks great. Cold case is all set up, ready to go in. Super easy to assemble. Basically comes in 4 boxes, the actual rad, the shroud, and then the 2 fans here. Then you can also get the relay kits from them if you want to, and then it's just plug and play. But basically throw this on, bolt in the fans, and then this thing is ready to go. And they're direct drop-ins, so trans lines will hook right up here and whatnot. And you can also paint these if you want them to look stock. Just hit them with some black, but we'll go with the shiny, NASCAR stuff. That's all in and done. Looks great. Just looking at the fuel pump here, and the dang old inlet line never even had a clampulator on it. So I think what that's telling me is Miles will put a Wix filter in here and then run a little chunk into the fuel pump, make it happen or there. I mean, I've put a lot of miles on this, but not like interstate highway miles, and I don't know what's in the fuel tank as far as rust or sediment or whatever. So it'll be a good idea to pop a filter tray in there, and we can check it at each stop and whatnot, and that'll be easy enough to do with all this room for activities in here now. Got the upper and lower rad hose ordered, but I think everything else is done. These awesome old school finned Edelbrock valve covers, a subscriber actually sent those a while back, and I've just been hanging on to them for a special occasion and got them put in, and I think they look the part. Relay's all done, just need the battery in here, plug that stuff in. Also put in a new charger whirler bracket, got that all lined up properly. So that's going to be good to go now. Just got to finish plugging in the lightning hoses. Now the body's a different story. I've been going around while Chad's been sanding, knocking down all these posts. But we're finding out the paint on the side of the rig is going to be an absolute nightmare. It took them an equal amount of time to do just this part compared to the top. So the paint on the side of this rig is going to be a bear to get off. So we're trying to figure out what to do there. This is probably a good example if this was a real life situation where you're doing a restoration. You'd probably sandblast this rig, to be honest, because this is going to be an absolute nightmare. I might come through with a flap disc and just lightly brush that off. But nonetheless, we're making progress, getting through it. Deck lid's done. I think we're going to probably maybe move to the roof. I don't know. Well, we're making progress. We're pretty much stuck on the bodywork full time now. Rad dual fans, hoses are in, valve cover gaskets and different valve covers, tack, air fuel ratio gauge, new charger whirler bracket, relays, all that's in there. We're gonna take a break from sanding and stuff because, well, our lungs are basically full of it. And we're gonna move the rear tire up to the front here. And we're gonna make sure that it looks correctish. Also clears the front dinner plate brake. She's got the disc clampers in the front there, you know. Because I need to order wheels and I just wanna make sure that I have the right back spacing. But basically this is the look I'm going for, is kind of that dished wheel. And that's like a 255. And I wanna do the same in the front as well. These are the skinny minis from the independent Chevelle. I borrowed the Monte Carlo's tires, put them on the Chevelle for a burnout. These are just kind of sitting on here. But we're gonna pop that off, roll it up here, throw it on, make sure everything works, try to turn it and all that stuff so I can get some wheels ordered. And you know me, I make some questionable choices with wheels, but they usually turn out pretty decent. And I've got a really cool idea for the wheels on this car. Fit, maybe?
Fits.
Maybe put 2 lugs on and then we can twirl it. That's the look though. We got rust to address down here. That lip there, that will probably just go ahead and snip this out. We want a little more clearance in here anyway. So we'll just run the plasma or something right around the lip. Just get that out. On the other side, it's probably gonna need the same treatment as well. Got a lot of clearance in there between the wheel and the tie rod. Right there. So, let's let this down. Front might need to go down a little bit. But that looks a lot better. Chad's working on the back bumper right now. We're gonna take that all the way off and keep it off, not only for when we prime it, but also wrap. And we're gonna put this rear valance, I don't know, it's 2 pieces. VP Express Parts sent those over quite a while ago, actually back when I supercharged this. Just never got around to putting it in. It kind of looks dorky with that piece missing in there. So that's gonna clean it up really nice. We'll hang that piece so the wrap can come around into that. And then once we get this bumper off, we're gonna take a look. Hopefully we can get this thing, rubber strip off. And I realize there's gonna be holes in here, but I also wanna try to get this bumper wrapped as well. And maybe they'll just cut those holes out and they'll look like speed holes. I'm not sure. Just finish up filling all the holes on this side of the rig. Gotta switch the gear over to the other. And I got 5 holes on the captain's side door, and then I think we're done filling. Looks like Chad's got 5 bolts left, maybe something like that. They were in there. Real late Saturday night, getting serious on the body work here. I was able to find some patches, front of the tire, rear of the tire, for both sides, and they were awfully expensive, but I tell you what, they were a little bit cheaper than the full quarters. Full quarters for a 74, $2,600, and I could only find 1 set. Nope, not doing that. We're just gonna patch them up, and apparently front fenders on a 74 are absolutely unobtainium. I found a couple banged up ones from junkyards, $400 or $500 a piece. That ain't gonna happen either. So I'm making my own patches. This one here is done. I just got done cutting this out of there, patched it up. Working on this one right now. Got that out. I'm gonna get this welded in, and then I gotta build this bottom piece here as well. There's a bolt that goes through here for this plastic stuff up here. I was able to find an earlier model. I guess you can use the bottom 7 inches for a 74, 75. Otherwise you can use 11 inches. So we're just gonna use that bottom piece, patch that in. Doors are good, thankfully. Rockers are very solid. Most of these Montes rot right up in here or down in here, and this one is extremely solid, thankfully. So although this is a tremendous amount of work, it could have been a lot worse. I guess there's probably going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, probably 15 or 16 patches on this car. And I'm not going for perfect, obviously, as you can see. We're just getting it good. We'll just skim it with a little bit of mud and make it nice and smooth just so the primer looks decent. Because we got a wrap going on this. We're not going to be doing paint, remember, so it doesn't have to be absolutely perfect. Back here's looking pretty good. I'll probably rebuild all this, you know, while it's off. Clean all this stuff up, get all this plastic out of here. We got new pieces going in there. Look at this side, a lot worse on this side over here. And basically what we're gonna do, so I'll probably bring that cut all the way around here, peel this old piece off, drill holes in the new one, spot weld it, and then we'll get some, you know, material in here, goop it up a little bit, and that'll work fine. That's what they did in the factory here, is with that seal. Front fender, this needs fixed. I'll probably chase this with a weld instead of cut it out. Just keep burning holes in it until it catches good metal. Make a nice spot weld and then grind it smooth. All this is gonna have to be patched. Right here is where that battery tray sits, and it just holds a bunch of mud and gravel and dirt material in there and rots it out. And I don't know about down in here. We got a lip too. Not too concerned about the lip. In fact, in the rear, we're gonna cut it. So I might just come in here and snip that off, because I don't think we're gonna really be looking at that. In the rear, we're gonna probably come in here and just trim this up like this. I had to do that on a Chevelle once too, because as you can see, when this car is loaded with this size tire and you get on it, it digs into the sidewalls. And we can't be doing that on the tires I got for this rig. Got the piece cut out of some 18 gauge here. You can trace the old piece you cut out if you kept it in one piece, which is nice, or you can just make a template on some paper. I did both just to make sure that first cut was gonna fit, and it did. Now there's a slight roll in the body here, and you can kind of see the sheen line right here. All I did was just take that, bend it over the tire here, put it in place, and I'll be dipped right in there. Now we'll throw some magnets on it, top and bottom, and start in the corners, tack welding, work this thing around, and air quench it as much as possible in between. Try to control the heat so it doesn't warp real bad, which we're not too concerned about because we're not putting shiny paint on it, but it's still good practice. Now I probably won't put a bunch of welds down here because I'm not sure if I'm gonna make my cut here or just butt up to this plate yet. I guess we'll have to wait and see. So there she is, all tacked in, and I'll just kind of boop, 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 you know, keep working around it, distributalizing the heat around and whatnot. Got another one lava staffed in over there. Went ahead and burned around on the bottom too. I'm not sure if I'm gonna cut this off on both sides or if I'm gonna patch it in, so I wanted something to hang it from, but this fender is coming along pretty good. Tomorrow the patch panels should show up. I guess my plan is just to do this whole side here and then, you know, rotate. Metal work on the fender here is done. That body line on the bottom was harder than a long distance relationship, and I ain't kidding you. It's gonna need just a snip of mud, but not bad. Now, unfortunately, I'm kind of stuck on body work here. All of the body panels, literally every single one, is held up due to a weather delay. It snowed like half an inch in Tennessee, and it just shut everything down. I'm gonna have to get used to that. I'm used to measuring snow in feet. So what I'm gonna do real quick is run into the parts store, get some oils and filters and stuff like that, and let's go ahead and knock out some of this basic maintenance stuff like an oil change and transmission service. We can cross that off the back window. Might even open up the rear diff, see what we got going on there, count the splines, make sure I got the right locker. I've got a few of them here in stock, but just make sure I got the right one, you know what I mean? Got the rig up in our teeth here. Here's that O2 I burned in for the air-fuel ratio gauge. Got everything greased up while it's up here. I know, I'm feeling okay. I just thought, well, mazel, you know. Gonna drop the oil quick. Here's my note on the filter. May 25th, it's not that old, but when you get rigs that haven't run in a while and you get a good oil with some detergents in it, it's not a bad idea to do a couple frequent oil changes, get all that sludge out of there. Got a TH350 back here. This is kind of peculiar. Got a green shield on here. And this thing shifts really, really good. Probably the best shifting transmission I have other than the ones that are built. And that kind of makes me think that maybe it was rebuilt on or replaced. Not sure, maybe they just lost the dust shield, but we'll pull this off and service the filter, see what we got going on in there. Yeah, as expected. No metal. It's good. By the who and way, it's pretty incredible, but the only rust, and I searched high and medium, and this entire floor is right there. And that is it. All the fuel lines are in absolute excellent condition. The brake lines are in great condition. The frame looks perfect. All the body mounts are good. Pretty neat, actually. Might have some original edge here on the back shockulators. Hard to say. I do know they're just, you know, they're shot. But that's okay. We're going to ignore that for now. These are the new mufflators I had put on. Pretty solid rig. Well, the guy just finished cleaning up 57 million gallons of ATF. Looked like murder she wrote around here. That was intentional, feller. See, we're just getting a sample of the juice down there. Nice and red, which is great. This is definitely an older fill tray. It's got evidence of some moisture around here. Still has the standard screw drive heads on there. I don't think this has been rebuilt. And quite a bit of material in the pan. So we're going to clean this out, pretend we didn't see any of this, put a new filter in, button her up, top her off with some really good juice, and you know, it's rebuilt basically at that point. It does look really, really clean though. Still got markings in it and everything. It's working excellent. This clutch material here, I don't have any concern over that. A little bit on the heavy side, but if we can get another week out of her, we'll be fine. There we go, guys, got that cleaned up. We'll throw a Wix filter, pop this back on. Got some batteries just boiling over here on boost for a couple days. That one might be shot. I'll just take it in for a core and get a super starts for the car, I guess. All buttoned up. Through the date of the filter tray on the pan here for my records, and also a date on the fill tray there. Guy can keep track of what in the world is going on. Gonna drop her down, throw some fluids in it. Gonna use Royal Purple for the shift machine, and then of course Rotella T4 for the engine up there. Just got everything topped off here. Got 4 quarts in the shifter machine. I'll run it through the gears, check it, might have to add half a quart. Earl's good, and then this is gonna burp some air out, and then we'll finish putting some ice cube juice in it. And then basically, this is all done. New battery tray in here, and battery hold down, so this can't go anywhere. new battery, dated that. Put a different cable on it, a longer one, and got these posts on the right side. I went with a top post combination side post battery on this unit here. Really, you know, I spent the extra 13 bucks or whatever. That way I can run the typical car stuff off the top post, clean that up instead of having 58,000 wires coming off the nuts. You could put those on the side posts, and that could be all the accessories, like the digital fans and the MSD and all that stuff. Just a little bit neater and cleaner and easier to understand what a guy's got going on, really. That's this here and here. So that looks pretty good. That charging whirler is starting to get a little grindy. I know you guys can hear that. I might have to throw one of those in the trunk. Also put a new lower rad hose on. Easier to replace it here than on the side of the road. This one is okay-ish, but I did grab a new one just in case. We'll throw that in the trunk. Really liking on those valve covers. Looks a lot better. It's warming up, it's getting there. Fans just kicked in, that's good news. That means all those bleep bloops are working. Just dropped idle a tickle. And we might have to snag a little bit more ice cube juice in here, but. Moved over to the drinker side fender. We got a lot of work to do over here, but it's a whole lot of the same thing. Cutting out some of the stuff here, pretty bad shape. And I wanted to show you before I clean this up. That is exactly what causes it. The stuff gets stuck in between the two. Those are leaves, stuff like that. So when you're pressure washing on your going to town rigs, you know, work the, get it up in here and get it around, because otherwise you're going to be in this mess. I think I'm going to hang on to this stuff, sign on some of this, chop it up, and then maybe we'll start throwing it in some orders on vicegripgarage.com. I think that'd be kind of fun. Patches still haven't showed up, but I've got hours of work to get this dialed in here before I start hacking off. You can actually see my mark. Here's a patch here before I burn it in. Just wanted to show you guys. Test fitting is the most important part. Just make sure it floats in here. So I have a gap all the way around for my weld to get in there nice. And then I'll start just tack welding. I gotta go this way because the body rolls in. So I'm gonna start on the top to roll this in. Then I'll get the corners, bring the bottom around and finish it off. All tacked in. Every time I run a tack, I punch her down, keep moving nice and slow. Now I'll just move around, fill it all in again. You guys know the drill by now. I'll button these three up real quick, get this patched, get this done. I'll come back and check in with you. Well, another late night in the shop, and the guy's having a lot of fun right now. There's still a tremendous amount of work to do on this car, but I'm stuck waiting for parts right now. And I know this video has a little bit different look and feel to it, but I know you guys also understand that with a build this big and the short amount of time that I have to accomplish it, I just don't have the time to set up the equipment and take you through every single nuance. There's already 140 plus hours into this build, and I can't record it all. Good news is my best friend Chad's on the way and my brother Sean. The three of us are going to be smashing away on this thing. Tomorrow, fingers crossed, the weather delay will be done with all the parts and we'll have a pile of stuff here. We've still got roll cage, seats, belts, body panel repair, primer, paint, you name it. There's a ton left to go. So stay tuned, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you next time.